This episode of the Polyhedron Collider Cast is sponsored by Kienda. Head to kienda.co.uk/Polyhedron Collider for 10% off your first order. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider Cast, episode 177. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm Luke Skywalker.
And I'm Rory Summers. Guess what we were talking about before we started recording? I don't know why we were talking about Star Wars, but we got there.
Well,
and now...
I was about to say, you're not a Wookiee, because Andy was right in that your Movember Tash is growing back very, very slowly.
It is. It's coming there. I think it looks better in person than I think it does on screen.
True. You are starting to look a bit like Ned Flanders, though.
Oh, that is quite funny. Yes, he is. Now he's pointed out. He really is. He stormed off. That's hilarious.
For the audio listeners, he's thrown down his headphones and stormed off.
Oh, that's outstanding. That's amazing. Do you know what else he looks like? You know when they did, was it Batman versus Superman, and they had to digitally remove Henry Cavill's tash?
I look like Henry Cavill. Take that.
No,
Andy said it.
You look like the opposite. I did not say that. I said you look like the opposite of that, where they've actually digitally edited a tash back in.
I know. Moving on. I think when clean shaven, the moustache, having no beard, has taken years off me. But the moustache has put more years back on. I think I look older, bizarrely, with it.
Yes,
and put you on a register.
Stop saying that. I have to go to a primary school. That's where my children are. But you may have noticed there's no Sid. Sid can't make it today, so sorry if you were looking forward to hearing that chirpy little voice. But if you do miss him, you can always listen to Ramshackle with Rory and Sid, where we talk about kids' games, and you can hear us not swear for 45 minutes.
That must have been more of a struggle.
Sid almost does.
Yeah.
He catches himself, and I kept it in as a little Easter egg.
Oh, did you? I haven't got to the Easter egg. But okay.
Wow. I mean, he must have been sat sweating.
It was a nice, fun, light episode, talking about lots of kids' games that we've been playing this year. Looking forward to doing another one with Sid soon, because we've got a bit of a backlog, and hopefully get to catch up with him and the kiddos over Christmas to play some more.
So talk about some big grown-up games, though.
Let's talk about some big grown-up games, yeah.
Shall I kick us off with Vantage, then?
No.
I mean, it is the headline game. No, let's leave that for later. Should we tease that? Go back to it then, shall we?
Nah, go on, okay. You've done it now.
Okay, so we have been playing Vantage, the latest game from Jamey, Stegmaier and Stonemaier Games, and this is, I think, a little bit rare because a lot of Stonemaier's output recently hasn't been Jamey, it's been secondary designers.
Yeah,
it's true.
So this is actually a Jamey Stegmaier game. So Vantage, it's a big box of delights, might be a way of putting it. The general gist of the game is you are on a spaceship which has crash-landed on a planet. And as you land, you see a view of the planet around you, your vantage, if you will. And what proceeds is a story-based game, which is kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure-ish, non-IP infringing, of course, in which you go to locations, you'll choose an action, and then you'll see what that action does. And that will lead you to get items, get clues, and it's very immersive, not immersive, that's not the word, emergent in its way it plays the game. When you start the game, you don't really know what you're supposed to do. There'll be a random objective that gets revealed pretty early in the game. That is random each time. And then there'll be what they call destinies, which is like a secondary goal of which you can have a few. I think we've generally seen one or two.
Yeah.
And then you might have tertiary objectives, which are quests, which are usually much easier to do, and you should get a few more of them.
Yeah, and they're quite player specific. Like I could have a different quest to you.
Yes. So the destinies and the mission goal are group based, and the quests are just for you. So the way the game works is, I think, relatively straightforward. you will have a card in front of you that the other players cannot see, which is your view of the area.
Your
And on
vantage,
that,
as if you will.
Your vantage, yes. And on that, where you will have compass points showing you what directions you can move to go to other locations, and a series of 6 actions you can take. And it's always the same 6 actions.
It's up to 6 actions. Sometimes you don't always get 6.
Oh, do you not always get 6?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes, as I discovered, you only get 1. But
yes,
yeah,
of course.
I think it should be noted there are 20 bajillion cards in this box, and we only saw some of them despite playing it multiple times.
Loads and loads of cards are the places you can go Vantage. There are 6 books, well, actually there's 7 books because there's one from when you're moving between locations, which all have an entry for every single card. So what will happen is you will go somewhere, you'll take your action, and the general actions fit into one of these 6 categories, which represent the 6 skills in the game, which means that you might be better at doing something because of skills. You will always pass the skill test. You always fail forward, as it were. We don't even fail forward, you always pass. But how well you do in that skill test will potentially deplete resources. I say potentially. The main way in which the game works is you're rolling a set of dice, which is based on the difficulty. And then you're trying to place these dice. And if you can place them on your board and your little tableau of cards in front of you, you've managed the situation. If you can't, they go back into this pool, and that depletes one of your 3 resources, which is time, morale, and health. Any of these get to 0, and it triggers an end game, which we'll get to later because it's not quite. You go through these locations, you gain hopefully more stuff. There's another 20 bajillion cards. I think it's 1,590 cards in the game.
Something like that.
Man looks
Something
at
like
thing in box while you carry on.
I think the first 1,000 of Vantage locations, and the rest are items which can go into your grid, which includes things like quests, equipment, allies, things like that.
There are 1,708 cards that can go in your tableau, and then there are the big cards.
I think, they start at 1,000, don't they?
Yeah. No. Oh yeah, they do start at 1,000. They start at 803. So yeah, a lot of cards.
So there's a lot of cards, basically. There is a very mild cooperative element to the game. You are playing a cooperative story. You're all working on the main objectives together. But there is also elements whereby certain cards allow you to place your dice on other people's tableaus, which means you can share the burden. And there are skill tokens, which if you have, you can chip in a skill token to help an ally reduce the difficulty of a test. And then you basically just play and see what happens. You look at the clues in front of you. You think you might do something. You read the bit of text from the coloured book from the action you've taken. It'll tell you what happens. Sometimes that'll give you an item. Sometimes give an ally. Sometimes it'll shut you down and it'll say, bugger off, you now need to move somewhere else. I don't know. I'd love to know how many different objectives there are in the game, but we saw every single game we saw different objectives, basically. And some of them were visual clues. Like, for instance, the second game we played, somebody found a transmitter. So we get given the objective of triangulate your position, so find 3 transmitters. And funnily enough, when we looked at the map, when we looked at some of our Vantage, like, oh, there's a tower in the background
Looks
there.
like there's a tower there. Let's head towards that. Yeah.
Let's head towards the tower and see if there's a transmitter there.
But it wasn't entirely obvious which direction you needed to go, though.
I will agree with that, and what happened with that character was actually Laura's character, and she ended up dancing with an alien.
Yeah.
As you do, yes.
Nothing to do with towers or transmissions at all.
No. From what it feels like, not necessarily fully in mechanics, but what it feels like, this game is very, very reminiscent in my mind of Sleeping Gods. True, it doesn't have the large campaign, but it has the whimsical nature of adventures that Sleeping Gods does. It's much quicker to play, 2 or 3 hours. I think you can easily get a session in, but it doesn't have the thing which you have in, say, Sleeping Gods or Tainted Grail, which are similar kind of choose your adventure stuff, where you can go back to a location and try either something else, or once you've found the thingamajig, you go back to the original place with the thingamajig. This game has a rule where you can only interact with each location once, unless there's a specific thing that says you can.
Yeah.
which does mean the game wants you to keep moving. You have to keep exploring. You have to keep finding new things to do, which can be a little frustrating when you think to yourself, I'm pretty sure back there was the thing I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I've messed up. But I also think it's got that Sleeping Gods thing of every time you play, you're going to find out more information about the world and what's going on. Like something we found out in the last time us three played actually revealed something about the voice that's guiding you. And it was like, oh, so that's what's happening there. And I think as you play, you are going to pull in pieces of this story.
Yeah, I think it does. There's a much larger story in that box than what you experience in just 1, 2, or even 3 or 4 playthroughs. I think you want to play this multiple times to get that. It's almost like a multiverse, really. I've been watching Marvel movies recently, but it's almost like every game that you play is just another little snippet, another part of that big, and there's a really big tapestry of a story being told across all of these cards, across all these experiences, that you need to get that game to the table a lot to really get the whole story.
Tapestry, you say? I see what you did there.
It's clever, wasn't it?
Yeah, clever. Shame it's a shit game, but never mind, we'll move on from that. I mean, Tapestry. Van, I have to admit, when you said we were going to be playing this, I was in two minds, because I've had a mixed relationship with Stonemaier in the last few years, because I'm firmly of the opinion that the last decent game they released was Scythe. Everything else since then has been, well, to put it bluntly, shite. But for one reason or another.
Not to your taste, shall we say?
I believe that's what I just said. But I have to admit, playing this, we were talking around the table that we were a little sceptical as to how it was going to work and how much we were going to see. And then the mechanics were a bit strange. And then we played it for 2 hours or whatever it was we played. And every single one of us at the end of this was like, I want to know what happens again. I want to carry on. I want to know what the story is. It's weirdly compelling.
I think Steve hit it on the head with calling this game an emergent game. The story does emerge. I even think like the rules emerge. You can sit down at the table to play this. You don't need to read the rule book. You don't need to watch a video. I think the rules will just emerge. You're just going to do the thing. You're going to read these 6 options, potentially up to 6 options. Choose one, do the thing, roll some dice. If you need more rules, you will encounter them when you need to. It's actually such a straightforward thing, it removes that barrier. You can just get straight in and immerse yourself in the story and let it grow out of where you are.
You say that, but I remember our first game of this was quite frustrating because a lot of rules were... So you probably won't notice this, Andy, because you didn't actually play it like straight out the box. But the main rule book is very, very short. And what it does is it teaches you the basic concepts of how to play, taking your action, moving, resolving skill tests, life
and
points, all that
really,
kind of thing.
That's the basic rules, yeah.
There is one of the second books has a section which is like a keyword section, which is actually the rules.
Right, okay.
And so it was a bit frustrating at first. Like, one of the first things I found was a fishing rod. And the fishing rod said, roll 2 extra dice when fishing. And I'm like, well, how do I fish then? Why am I rolling dice? And only because it doesn't, because what you've got to realise is to do fishing, you have to go to the fishing action in the book of the location where you want to go fishing. But the rule book doesn't guide you to that. And so I'm looking at the rules going, well, why am I supposed to be rolling these dice? Am I supposed to just roll some dice and see what happens and I catch that? Or, oh no, I have to go to an entry, which is like a story event for that card.
Yeah.
Which means I go fishing.
And it tells you what to do that fishing thing. Right, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things like that whereby at first I was like, I don't get what the game wants me to do. But by the end of the first playthrough, we got it. We keyed into the kind of mindset that obviously Jamey had when he designed this game and went, right, okay, that's what it wants me to do.
Yeah.
And fair dues, there is a rule in there which says, like, if you're ever stuck and not quite sure of a ruling, always go for the most thematic version of events. So
Which
just rule
cool.
it has which is cool. Which is like, it's like the rule of death in Kingdom Death, which I absolutely love. The rule of death in Kingdom Death is you're never sure what's going to happen. Take the worst result and apply it, because the game wants to kick you. This game doesn't want to kick you, of course. Vantage wants to hold your hand and let you explore and take you on this journey throughout this crazy alien world, basically.
Yeah.
And I can't be denied, actually, how much we thoroughly enjoyed that last game we played, to the point where I ended the game and I wasn't quite sure whether you two were going to have a go at me for actually finishing the mission, because you were both on kind of at the verge of doing something else.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I stop? Do I hold off ending the game so you two can do what you want? Or do I just end the game now?
I know. What you mean.
I have to admit, I was disappointed that you ended the game there. I mean, I wasn't going to have a go at you because it was just part of the game. It's what we were trying to do. But I was disappointed I didn't go to rampage. I didn't get to rampage around the lands as a pig riding wizard. That was disappointing.
I know. I was particularly looking forward to going to another fight club.
That's true. Yes,
and being declared the super heavyweight champion of Vantage.
that was quite entertaining. Fight Club.
Because of the way we play games, and we were all together, and we had a limited time we had that one day to play as many games as possible. If we hadn't been in that situation, I would have been like, "No, come on, Steve, let me go do another fight club." I probably would have said something had we not got other stuff to do that afternoon. But I've had a lot of fun playing this game, to the point where I've actually played this game solo. And I would gladly play this game solo again. It's the type of thing I could actually just sit down tonight after we podcast and just get the game out, and I could play a game in the space of an hour and a half, 2 hours. Instead of watching, what am I on? Wakanda Forever, I can sit down and play Vantage instead. I'd have a lot more fun.
Vantage.
Yeah, play Vantage. To be fair, I mean, we all like a good story, and it was a good story.
Really good.
We wanted to know what happened more. I mean, the thing is, I think if I understand the rules correctly, which I think there's a 50-50 on that one, that even though you finished the mission... No, we didn't. You finished the destiny, didn't you?
Yes, we didn't actually finish the mission.
Not the mission, because there's the two, because you have missions and destinies, and you can complete your destiny without completing a mission. But if you complete your destiny and you read the text, it basically ends the game immediately. Whereas if you complete your mission,
So completing your destiny is a victory. If you've completed your mission and if you complete your destiny and your mission, it's an epic victory.
The way to describe it is destinies are is an end to the narrative. The destinies we've all seen have all been something that makes narrative sense, that brings the events to a close. Whereas the goal is purely goal orientated. It doesn't bring the narrative to an end. It's just, you've come here to this planet to do this, so that's what you're going to try and do.
Yeah.
That's the way to think about it. Which is interesting, you have to find a destiny. You don't get given one at the start. So the mission is what you get given on your ship. That's the reason why you're visiting the planet.
Yeah. What was ours in that last game was to make loads of money.
Make loads of money, yeah.
Yeah.
which we failed to do.
We were close.
I mean, to say, you made most of it by beating people up, Rory.
I did.
Now, we did hint at it earlier. There's also a weird situation when you, inverted commas, die. Because if your health, your morale, or your time hits 0, you go to another section of the book, and it has... I think this is a weird rule, personally. But you have the opportunity for a continue, effectively. You can carry on. And what you do is you reset everyone, so you get all the dice, and you roll them, and you basically add those, whatever dice come up, which can come up, the time, morale, and health icons, you apply them and move them up as you see which between the players. So if someone drops to 0 health, you need to roll a health on one of the dice. Thing is, you are rolling... Is it 16 die in a 4-player game?
Yeah, there's 8 dice, and then it's 2 per player. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the chances of not rolling whatever you've just gone down to 0 then is pretty damn slim.
It is.
And it did feel a little bit like, is this just the game wanting to be nice? It's taken away out that challenge and gone, well, you've lost, but you can carry on if you want to.
Yeah.
I think it is a bit of a Stegmaierism, because he is a big fan of positive reinforcement. He doesn't like negativity in games, and he's stated this quite a few times, which sometimes can work and sometimes doesn't necessarily. But I think
the problem there is that I think the rest of the mechanics in the game just meant we might as well have just done a story then.
Yeah,
And
not roll the
bother
dice.
with the dice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just see where it takes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rory, you said that an interesting concept may have been you do that, and every time you do that, you roll less dice.
Yeah.
So it becomes harder and harder. So your story extends, but it becomes more difficult each time.
It's like you're crawling around on your hands and knees trying to sort of get to the end of your mission. Yeah, that would make a bit more thematic sense as well. You know, you've endured hardship through whatever exploratory story you're on. You get towards the end of it, you just need one last push, but it is harder and harder and harder to summon the strength to do that. I think that would have been more narratively coherent rather than just give you a mulligan and just go, you can carry on. Because if you're going to do that, you might as well just say, bollocks to the stats, just play the story, as you say.
Yeah, I do wonder, it does feel like this is potentially more of the gamification of a good story rather than a story that is being gamified, if that makes sense. It's bizarre. I know I've said maybe pretty much the same words there and describing it two different ways. But
Same words, but in slightly different order.
I think I will definitely probably add that house. I think I'm just talking out my arse. I'm just oxymorons left, right and centre at the moment. Sorry. I will definitely apply that house rule that when I get to a continue, your first continue, you roll all the dice. The next, then you remove 2 dice. You remove a player's contribution to the dice pool until you get down to 8. 8 is the minimum dice you have to play with. So when you're at your 10 dice rolling, that's the last continue. And I think that adds some jeopardy. It adds some threat. You've got to get across the finish line now.
Yeah, I said that was the thing, is we got to that point, we read that rule, and as I said, all the threat just vanished. It was like, well, why am I going through all these steps of using resources to reroll dice, spending tokens to make skill checks easier, when we can just burn through all these and just continue?
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? Is our I'm going to say discussion, but it did turn into a bit of a rant about Charterstone many, many years ago, where you got to, I think it was box 10 or whatever it was, year 10 or the 10th round, whatever the hell it was. It was like you were 2 from the end, and it basically just said, right, if you haven't opened everything, open it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
It felt exactly the same as that. And interestingly, I didn't mention that to Rory at the time because Rory hadn't played Charterstone, but that's exactly what I was thinking. It felt that same kind of thing. We don't want to withhold anything from you. We don't want to gatekeep the rest of the game, so carry on playing. But it just irks me that why have I then spent the last 2 hours managing skills and my resources only to be told, well, it doesn't matter because you can just hit refresh on them whenever you want.
Yes.
I mean, this is an open world investigative game. Maybe there's something somewhere where you can't do that.
Potentially, yeah.
There might be something which says, like, everyone loses health. In which case, like, if 3 people, you need to roll 3 hearts, then that becomes more difficult.
Yes, or roll less dice, or your maximum value for each stat is reduced by 1 each time you re-roll, something like that.
So there may be something in that game that we haven't encountered which kind of fixes that for that part of the story, but we didn't see it.
No.
So,
but all in all, I've had a lot of fun exploring this story every time I've opened that box. I'm almost reluctant to call it a game now that I'm thinking about it, but I've had a lot of fun spending time with it and interacting with it.
Yeah, I think the issues notwithstanding, it's a very interesting world. It's very colourful. The artwork's fantastic.
It's very beautifully presented.
It is,
through, actually.
yeah. It's really nice to play. It's nice is a awful word, really, because it's very peedy wally, as we've mentioned before. But it's a very nice game. I mean, it's very typically Stonemaier, again, coming back to the sort of the positivity, the positive reinforcement of it. But it is nice because if you play something like Tainted Grail or Kingdom Death Monster, you're in for a kicking. Whereas in this, you're not. You're still doing an exploration, but it's a lot more twee. It's a lot more friendly. It's definitely not certainly doesn't feel as if the world is trying to kill you. I mean, there are difficult decisions at times, and obviously you won't know where the direction will take you, just like in any other adventure, but it doesn't feel at any point like you are going to be forced to start again because you've decided, I know I'm going to kick the bear in the balls rather than run away from it, for example. Although there were some very odd outcomes that we discovered, especially with Alora's dancing flower section, where there was a... there was an alien gesturing towards a plant, and she wasn't quite sure what it meant, so she made a decision. I'm trying to do this without spoilers, just in case. And it wasn't a decision that we expected. The outcome of that decision wasn't what we expected. But
I think that was true of a lot of it. I think.
It's true. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, we did. I mean, I thought we were going to hate it. Actually, I really did. Especially after I wasn't convinced after the first game, but after the second game, I think this game shone. I could see what it was going to do. We had so much fun in it.
Yeah.
I mean, pig riding wizards and fight clubs and
Dance offs.
flying spaceships. Yeah, brilliant. That's one hot game. I think we should talk about another extremely hot game, which is Covenant from Devir, which was the darling of Essen, which is all about dwarves in the mountain. Do you want to talk about this one, Rory?
Go on then. Right, so we are dwarves. We're each taking a dwarven clan, and the dwarven king has said we're going to go and reclaim our mountain back from all the goblins and orcs and trolls that are in the quote-unquote Misty Mountain. And we're going to
say, isn't this the plot of The Hobbit?
Yeah, but it is. It is the plot of The Hobbit, or the plot of the dwarvy bit. And that's what German P. Marvin has built. Milan has built this game on, and I think that theme really shines through. It's a worker placement game. You've got 4 dwarves that have all start at level 1, and you've got actions to build, to transport some goods. I forgot what the other actions are now. How have I forgotten?
Build, fight, transport, and the other one.
Mine,
There
of
you go.
course.
Dwarves, mine.
Diggy dwarves, of course. And it's really simple. So you're going to place your dwarf on one of these actions. You're going to do that action. And this game is all about efficiencies. So you're going to be looking at ways at what can make this action trigger another action that allows me to get an upgrade and go up this track and go up that track and go up the other track as well if I can do this and get this unlock and this gem and this thing. This game is all, like I say, it's all about that efficiency. You've got 4 dwarves over 3 rounds. There are 12 goes maximum in this, and it's always about just trying to make the most of absolutely every decision. Now, explaining this game, there's a lot, because you've got all these tracks, you've got all these pickups, all these add-ons you can do, but your 4 actions are always going to stay the same. You're going to unlock extra tools, as they're called, so a pickaxe will allow you to do dig actions. That extra pickaxe that you buy doesn't make your dig action any better. It just gives you the ability to do it an extra turn in a round. And I think that's a really interesting aspect of this game, is that the actions never really get any better unless you make them better. And after 3 rounds, you're going to chip away, dig some stuff out, kill some orcs, kill some goblins, put them in your jail, get some treasures, explore the dungeon, build some homes, build some workshops, and that what you build, where you build it, and how you do it is all going to be depending on the round objectives, which change between games. So you might want to get all of your houses out onto gold mines or emerald mines. They're going to trigger points, and they're going to trigger points every single round until the end of the game. And then it's just a big point fest. You're going to get points from your boards. You're going to get points from the buildings. You're going to get points for some of your objectives that are hidden and really, really hard to unlock. And that, in a nutshell, is Covenant, rules-wise. But we don't want to talk about the rules too much. We want to talk about how the game feels. And the game feels like my brain melts. I've played this game several times now, and I'm consistently rubbish at it. I don't know how to get better. The player board comes with you've got to the 100 marker, and you've got to the 200 marker. I've only once managed to get past 50 points. I do not see how you do better at this game. I don't get it. I
think she also says, well, there are 12 actions in this game.
12?
That's it. You will take 12 actions. There are 3 rounds, and you take 4 actions each round. And in the first round, you're generally going to take four prescribed actions, because it's quite rare in the first round, in our experience. I should point out, someone will point out, go, well, I can do the first round. It's rare in our experience to unlock extra action slots, which are the extra workshops, things you can do on the first round.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Steve? I've managed to create another action, unlock a mine, got 3 king's coins, and dug out 4 hexagons in one action. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it wasn't in round one, though, was it?
Discord now, isn't it? But I agree. I do really like this game. It is a brain burner, and I know how to play well enough to try and, compete against you lot.
The bar is pretty low on that.
I'd hate to play someone who actually knows how to play this game, because I have a funny feeling we are missing something. To get to 200 points feels impossible at this point in time.
Yeah. It is really hard. But the other really clever thing about this game is the way your dwarves level up. So these are little counters. So you have a little dwarf that's level 1, and you start with 4 of them, and they all start in the pub. And at points through the game, you get to level them up, at which point you just flip the counter over, and the artwork has them with a bit more armour on. And a level 2 dwarf is better than a level 1 dwarf. And then when you need to go to 2 to 3, you just swap it for the level 3 counter. Got a bit more armour on as well. So you've got these really interesting decisions about, do you try and spread them all out so you've got a load of level 3s or load of level 2s, or do you just have one really good dwarf?
And don't forget, you can actually level up your dwarfs with beer.
Yes.
Which comes in pints and steins.
And rightly so.
+1 and +2.
Yes. It did. I have to admit, before we started playing this, when you first described it to me, I was thinking, so it's a bit like Caverna then, the Uwe Rosenberg game. I thought, well, they've got dwarves. They go mining. Okay, admittedly, they keep animals, which you don't do in this. But they go fighting to upgrade themselves so you can do more with them. I thought, this is going to be very similar. It's really not. It's nothing like it at all.
See, the closest thing we kind of put it to was White Castle, bizarrely. Even though mechanically it's completely different. But mainly because you've just got those 12 actions. You can't muster up any more actions in this game to do extra things. Complaints here are very jokey, because we all enjoyed playing this, but we all felt slightly frustrated that you obviously can do better in this game than what we're doing, and we can't see how.
I've tried different tactics. I thought it was all about enchanting my tools. To make
Enchantment
my tools.
Summers here. Yeah.
Enchantment Summers. I got loads of enchantments as quickly as I could, because I'd seen someone else do that and score really well. But they must have been doing something else that I wasn't paying attention to. So I enchanted everything so that every time I used this tool, I could do this thing as well. And I thought I had some really great synergies going. I can do this, and then I'll do this, and I'll go up this track, and I'll do this. And I was having these really complex, elaborate turns where I moved up loads of tracks. And I'd score some points, but then you guys would just immediately catch up with me. I was, But it took a lot of effort for me to do that.
Yeah, it's a tough game. There's a lot going on. It reminds me actually a little bit of Tolkien, because I know really good players of Tolkien can get like 120 points or thereabouts. I'm having a really good game if I get 60, 70. It's a similar sort of idea. I know there are strategies, but I can never get them right. So I think this one is going to take a lot of practice and a lot of delving, pardon the pun, into the game. But I think the game's rich enough to support that. Because, as you say, Ro, there is loads of different ways you can play. You can just do constant deliveries. You can do constant mining. To a point, obviously, you're limited by the number of actions you can and obviously create. One thing as well is that the upgrade action is very dependent on the things, the hexagons that come out on the board, because it's not an immediate action. So you can't upgrade your own actions, i.e., give yourself additional abilities until you find that icon. And it's not always available. So your game will be very, very different every time you play, because there may be some games you just simply can't upgrade you. So you're locked to your 4 or maybe 5 actions throughout the entire game, which will be very restrictive and very hard. Let's say that that's the kind of game we had and therefore didn't have the opportunity to score many points.
It is a very clever game. I think it's too clever for me, but I enjoy taking part in this. I need a taking part ribbon.
It is a clever game, but it is not without criticism from here at Polyhedron Collider.
Nothing is beneath criticism. Nothing is above criticism from us, especially me, because I'm a grumpy old man. But
We
You are right,
did get
Steve.
very huffy and puffy looking through this rulebook at points, didn't we?
We got very annoyed with this game in a couple of places.
Well, we started on a bad sign when Rory was insisting that there were only 2 opportunities to get relics. So me determined to prove him wrong, and I succeeded.
Eventually.
It wasn't easy to find, though. It's a fair point. It was not easy to find.
Can we point out that what you're talking about is the mining track?
Yes.
Which has treasures alongside it at certain points. Throughout the rest of the game, gaining a treasure is shown by the treasure chest icon. Treasure chest icon means gain a treasure. There are no treasure chest icons on the mining track, yet apparently you gain treasures at certain points. I would like to point out, this graphic is not on the track, and as far as we could work out, this rule is not in the rulebook.
No.
But it is on Board Game Geek, and the designer himself has said this is what happens. The only reason we know this is because Andy watched a Watch It Played tutorial.
No, it wasn't. It was literally, I went to Board Game Geek and asked that question. Oh, I found the thread. It was nothing to do with Rodney. No, you're giving him far too much credit.
Rodney.
No, it was Rodney that pointed out you've been playing Vantage wrong.
That was one.
No, Covenant was definitely Board Game Geek. You were right the first time, Steve. But yes, the artwork is missing from the board because on all the other tracks there was an icon that gives you the benefit when you pass it. So there's a logical inconsistency on the mining track, as you say, Steve.
Yeah.
And again, 3 of us read through the rulebook, almost cover to cover each time, and none of us could find it in the rulebook to say if you pass this, you will get a relic. So that is, I think, a significant oversight.
And there are also some real niggles with graphic design. Like the mining section of the board is just below and next to
the
mining track. No, the fighting track.
Obviously, yes.
So the amount of times I did mining and moved myself up the fighting track, and Rory went, "No, that's the wrong track, Tudor." What? But that's the one right next to it, surely. No, wrong track. And then there's this weird thing with mining. So when you're mining, you not only flip over tiles, which reveal more and more of the halls, which we can build on, you also gain resources. For reasons which we discovered, the first track you have to spend a 2-strength miner to get, and all the rest after that are 1. We were adamant the first time we played it that you had to take the 2-strength one regardless before you could get to the 1-strength ones.
Yeah, that you had to start left to right.
Yeah, because they're presented in that order. As far as we can understand, after reading it very, very carefully, you don't. It's just that first one is more expensive because it's the churn. It's that whole thing of like the last thing to come into the market always costs more.
Yeah.
Because more people might want it. But again, why is the board arranged in that order? So the first thing you mine is the most expensive. Why is it not the other way around? Why is that not at the front of the queue?
Because it's like the graphic that sits behind it is the cave being dug out, isn't it? It's literally a mining track. So why would the thing that's at the mouth of the mine be the most expensive one to get? It would make more sense if that one is deeper in the mine, so it's harder to get to. That's why you have to spend more
that's
points.
Because most of the markets on pretty much every other game, the longer something's in the market, the cheaper it gets.
Yes, and that's exactly how this works. But
it's the wrong way around.
Logic, the image,
the logic is different.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Once you understand that logic and understand what the game wants to do, it's fine. But just learning the game is like, why have you made this decision in the graphic design here?
And that's the thing about these niggles. All of these niggles we have, all of these harumps and grumbles, they are all minor, but they all create a barrier to just getting on with the game.
Yeah.
And that's what they've become memorable for us, because it's like, we spent 5 minutes searching through the rulebook, 5 minutes scrolling through Board Game Geek, looking for an answer to this thing that is just simple, that is actually quite obvious. It's just missing those logical steps in the rulebook or in the graphic design or icons that slowed us down, that ruined our enjoyment and our immersion in the game, because we had to stop and look stuff up. And where we just wanted to get on with the game. Now that we know, fine. When I'm teaching the game, fine.
But then some dick asks you a question like, "Oh yeah, I don't know." Rifle. Yes.
But this isn't. I mean, this is a Devir game, and the production value is brilliant. The artwork's brilliant. The actual game design is fantastic. I think it's a really great game. It's got a great price point. It's available on Kienda for £50.99.
Which you should probably say, actually, Vantage was provided to us by our show sponsor, Kienda. You can get it from there as well.
But this is another game from Devir where the rulebook has just missed something. Transgalactica, it happened last time. Even when we played White Castle Duel, we fumbled over that rulebook.
Yeah. The rules were there, and yeah, we fumbled because we didn't understand what it was trying to tell us, which is a shame because the games are really good.
The games are really good.
Yeah.
But I like Transgalactica, and we like Hard Rock was another game that we reviewed early this year.
Yeah.
Also from Devir, which has its place, not necessarily for us, but it was a great fun game. But that rulebook also had just sticky bits in it that just weren't as simple as possible.
And the less said about sand, the better.
Sand was
Certainly the rule book for sand, anyway. I mean, my comment still stands about the game too, but that's just my opinion. Other members of this podcast may disagree.
So the question about Covenant then is, was the Essen hype worth it?
I think so.
I think it's bloody brilliant, frankly.
Oh, there we go then.
This is a very Euro game, isn't it? It's do a thing to do a thing to do a thing.
Oh, definitely, yes. The best turns you have are those when you do this action, which puts you up this track, which unlocks this. And from that unlock, you then can unlock something else, which gives you this action, which gives you this resource, which means the next turn you've got all the resources to do this next action. Yes, very much do the thing to do the thing.
It felt like it should have been designed by David Turksey, but it wasn't. Because he does that. He's like, thing, does thing, does thing, does thing, does thing, does things, does thing. And here's 47 points. What are you going to do on your turn, Andy? I'm going to get some iron. Which
is the discouraging thing. We had this, didn't we, round the table?
Yeah, we did talk about it.
I would do this really complicated thing where I'd go up this track and do the thing, and then Steve would be like, I'm just going to go dig and get an emerald. Your turn, Andy.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of a Euro, isn't it? There are going to be turns that are going to be very complicated, that are going to be long, that are going to trigger loads of bonuses, and then others that are not.
I mean, we had the same advantage, to be fair.
True, yeah, Vantage. There was nothing worse than someone having like a 6 minute, 10-minute turn where they did this and did that, and then this happened and this happened. And the next person goes, I'm going to travel to the next location. Roll the dice then. Oh, you walked through some mud. There we go.
Next. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something which didn't make the Essen hotness, which I'm very surprised at, to be fair.
Yes.
Which is Druids of Edora from Ravensburger and designed by Stefan Feld, which was provided to us by the publisher. I'm surprised there wasn't more buzz about this game when I looked at Essen.
It came out kind of under the radar a little bit, this game.
I think it did. Now, I know Andy would probably not like this just because it's a Stefan Feld game.
That's not necessarily true. There are two Stefan Feld games that I actually quite enjoy.
There we go.
The rest of them are dog shit, but we'll move on.
So, this is a dice placement game at its heart. You are a druid in the woods, not Stonehenge, although Stonehenge does appear in it, as we'll get to in a moment. You're wandering through the woods, going from glade to glade. And to be fair, the rules for this game are move to a glade, spend resources to travel to that glade, place a dice. There you go. I've just taught you how to play Druids of Edora.
End of turn. Really?
Ripping stuff.
Yes. And it is that simplicity. Now, when you place a dice, you get an action. There are multiple actions you can take. The strength of the dice you put down determines the strength of the action. But you also have to pay resources to put that dice down. And the resources I'm talking about the same throughout. It's just provisions. You have a universal resource of provisions. And you have to pay to move, pay to put the dice down. Which means the real kind of interesting part of this game is balancing your resources against what you want to do and what actions you want to take. The other interesting thing is all your dice are rolled at the beginning of the game and do not change unless there's some some special actions allow them to change. Which also means you get, I think it's 16 dice you
You get
get?
16 dice, and you only actually start with 4 of them. The others go in like the locker section, so you have to unlock dice. You have to, when you unlock the dice, you're like, do I really want my 1? Or do I want that 4? Or do I want that 6? It makes even that choice really interesting, what you're going to take out.
The other thing about the dice, so of course we've already said the strength of the action is based on the value of the dice. At the end of the game, I know I'm jumping ahead a bit, you do an area control on every single glade. So there's a number of spots in each glade equal to the number of players, and you can't go in the same glade twice. At the end of the game, you remove all dice apart from the highest numbered dice in each glade. And there's an area majority scoring points based on that. So you're incentivized to place your highest level dice out because, of course, that gets you points at the end of the game. So in theory, and to be fair, this did actually happen last time me and Rory played, one of you can end up rolling lots of 2s, 3s and 4s, and the other one can end up loads in 4, 5s and 6s. And it feels like, well, that means that Rory's just got, I can see Rory's got loads of 5s and 6s there, I've got loads of 2s and 3s, Rory's obviously got an advantage. Well, no, he hasn't, because he's got to spend a lot more resources to get the dice out.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's cheaper, and I'm going to be more careful about where I place them. I won't go into all the actions you can do, but the basic actions are you can place down one of 2 constructs, which activate either a special power or a gain, depending on what type of building you put down. It's like monoliths and not monoliths.
Yeah, they're round and square
Spires.
bottoms, aren't they?
Yeah. It's like square stone things and round stone things.
Yeah.
Again, these add to your area majority as well, so these affect the area majority score. But to very quickly run down the actions, one action allows you to get resources, funny that, which you need a lot of. One action allows you to go up a track, which is your score multiplier track. One action allows you to go up the power-up track, which is actually quite clever, I think. It's got a bunch of random herbs. And what happens is all the herbs have got the same power for everyone, but where everyone's herbs are on their board is different. And as you go on the track, there are 2 herbs opposite each other, and you have to choose which of those powers you unlock and which one you shut off for the entire game.
So you're building a completely unique
really
set
nice thing.
of power-ups for your what's the word? Asymmetry.
Asymmetry. You also get an action which allows you to brew potions, where you have to take mistletoe and brew potions. These are usually one-off for abilities. You also have ones that give you goals. You can pick up goals, and if you pick up a goal from the Mystic Well, you get other resources. And there's one other thing I'm forgetting. What is it, Rory?
Oh, I had it.
Oh, gemstones.
Gemstones.
You have
the
gemstones.
amulets.
You've got like a little amulet on your board, which you fill with gemstones that give you power-ups and points and bonuses as well. You play this until you run out of dice. Game over. Tot up the points. Point salad. There's points for everything in this game.
Yeah.
Everything you do can get you points. But some of the big ones appear to be this area majority and your multiplier. Quite quick as well. I think we played a 3-player game in 55 minutes.
Yeah.
And it packs a lot of decision into that time.
A lot of decision, yeah.
There's a lot of thinking. There's also some other things. I mentioned Stonehenge earlier. There's little paths throughout the board. If you manage to join up with your people to opposing Stonehenges, you get some bonus points. There's also fires, which are in the middle of glades.
Yep.
And if you completely surround a fire, you cover up the fire and you get the bonuses
Get some
around
more
it.
bonuses.
It's just a bonus.
Yeah. Bonus for this, bonus for that, bonus for this, bonus points here, more points there. It's very Feldy in that way.
But it's not like Covenant where it's do the thing to do the thing. It's do the thing, get some stuff.
Yes.
Which means you've got stuff for next time when you do the thing. So turns are quite quick.
They are. That's why you can listen. You play a 3-player game, you're limited really because your movement. You have to pay provisions to go between glades. You've generally got an idea of where you want to go and what action you want to take, and then how far away it is and how many provisions you've got and how expensive your dice is going to be. It kind of all of these things inform your choices to actually really narrow them down as to what you'd like to do and what you can do.
Can you do the actions in every glade? So can you do every action in every glade?
No.
So it's like a worker placement. So dice has to go on one of the 3 spots, and the spot determines what the action is.
Right.
So if you want to take a particular action, you'll have to get to a glade that's got that action.
So just coming back to the randomness of the dice, if you ended up rolling lots and lots of high numbers and you need a lot of resources to play those high numbers, could you get to a position where you could not get enough resources to play your dice because you wouldn't able to do the action?
There's always a pass action which gets you a dice and some resources.
And it gives you, I think it gives you quite a good clump of resources. I think it gives you 6 resources and a die if you just pass. And that's what you have to do.
And I think it balances out. It sounds like if you've got loads of high numbers, you're going to do better. I found it evened out because of that very thing. So whereas Rory got more stuff when he took actions, I didn't have to pass as much as Rory because Rory was running out of resources.
Okay. So you ended up doing more things, but he ended up doing fewer more powerful things.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So bizarrely evens. And in fact, I think that's a testament to the game design. I think that balance actually seemed really good.
Yeah.
To the point where I was adamant the last game we played that Rory was going to do so much better because he was going to do so much better at the end of game scoring, which is the area control part. But it ended up that I'd scored so many points throughout the rest of the game that I still beat him.
Yeah, 'cause although I think I had more areas that I controlled with my higher dice, you had managed to go up further on the track. So your multiplier, you had a 4 times multiplier to my 3 times multiplier. So even though I had more locations, I didn't get quite as many points as Steve did.
So it was multiplying 3 by 4, the other one was multiplying 4 by 3. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a bad example. And we found you couldn't do everything, so you did have to specialise a little bit. Like, for instance, Adam was specialising on the amulets. Rory was very much doing
I did a lot of goals
and the area control. And you were doing the goals, sorry.
Yeah.
I was doing very much the upgrades and getting one kind of pillar out. It feels like a game in which you cannot do everything, so you've either got to spread yourself just to get the resources or concentrate on one thing to do well.
Yeah.
Again, which means that every time you play, you will adapt your strategy for how you're going. I must admit, I really, really like this game. Also helped by the fact I seem to be rather good at it.
Yes.
I seem to have seen through the Matrix and can do rather well. And which I do understand. I don't know why it's not done as well as, say, Covenant. When Covenant of Devir has come from a relatively unknown designer, whereas this is a Stefan Feld game. I was expecting more fanfare.
Yeah.
That being said, much like Covenant, I have some issues with the graphic design of this game. I also have a potential issue with the design of the game and the balancing, which is similar to what we said. We played a 2-player game, and we practically maxed out everything.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
I'd maxed out the upgrade track, I'd maxed out the points track, and I had most of my amulets slotted in.
Both of us had,
Okay, I didn't have many spells from the mistletoe, and I didn't have many objectives. So you could argue, well, I'd only maxed out 3 of the 5. We played the second time, a 3-player game, and it was harder. But again, I maxed out the upgrade track, and I maxed out the points track, the multiplier track. And it did make me wonder, is this game too easy to do well at, or am I just concentrating on those 2 things? If I played again, maybe I'd concentrate on mistletoe and spells and objectives, and they wouldn't max out. So there's an inkling that it feels a bit too easy. But I have some complaints about the graphic design of this game.
Is it as bad as Carpe Diem? Because that graphic design was bloody terrible.
No.
The problem is also narrative, isn't it? Thematic with your issue here.
My issues are thematic. The graphic design actually works fine. Everything's clear. Everything does what it's supposed to do. There's a slight issue with some of the action icons are different depending on where you take them. And we realised on the second game that some represent the same as doing the dice action, whereas some are just a one-off bonus. So you can't get some multipliers. My main issue is thematic, because the board is made up of all these glens, and it's random. It's like a jigsaw puzzle board that goes through, and you flip over alternate tiles to turn it into a 2, 3, or 4-player game.
Which
is really clever.
Really clever. The production of that is brilliant. Really clever.
It's brilliant. But I've got 2 criticisms. If you're moving for the majority of the board, which is through the centre of the board, the glades have got like an animal totem at the exit, which goes to your path to the next glade. and these lines crisscross. They're not. It's not a pure grid. They go in various paths and go. However, there's also a path that goes around the outside of the board. But the graphic design shows the path going underneath the glade, not into it. So the very first question to Rory was, well, how do we use this path, Rory? Rory was like, well, it's just a path. Well, no, it isn't, because it goes underneath the glade. It doesn't go into the glade. There's no animal totem designating the exit.
There's a tunnel.
It passes underneath.
Yeah, basically,
like,
all the glades around the edge of the board are missing archways, are missing doorways.
So it looks like the tunnels that go underneath.
It looks like, well, can I enter and exit this way?
Oh.
And graphically, maybe you couldn't. So then what's the point of the path? Because you wouldn't just go underneath them.
So you have to go in and then come out again, not the same way? Or
we just had to go in.
We just decided that this was just a weird graphic niggle. The other weird one was there's two different types of path between glades. Some of them have it's supposed to be like these are the lit paths, so they're light so you can see the forest, and then beyond that are dark paths. And you don't need to spend resources when you move along a lit path. But in between the paths, in between the glades, are these fires. And when you completely surround a fireplace, you set fire to it. So I said to Rory, I'm sure, so that means I don't have to pay to walk through the dark paths anymore. Rory was like, no, you pay for the dark paths. But I've just lit a bonfire. That area of the forest is lit now.
And you've got a bonfire token that you put over the fire pit, so you clearly indicate this is no longer a dark forest, this is a lit forest because thematically there's a bonfire. Why would it still be dark? No, it's still dark. Which is just, there's that juxtaposition of thematically what I'm doing, mechanically what I've been told to do here, but it doesn't impact this movement. It's like, wait, it kind of should. It would make sense if it just did.
Weird little complaints. But overall, I've enjoyed this game, and I found this game to be a real grower. I liked my first game. I liked my second game a bit more, and I've liked my third and fourth game even more. So I've enjoyed this more and more every time I've played it, although I'm still rubbish at it. But he is Andy. He's terrible at it.
No
his ass
comment.
Twice.
No, dear,
not even a little bit of a kicking. It's like significant.
Proper gulf between the two of you. It does sound like Stefan Feld does have a bit of a blind spot for bonfires, though, because his other game called Bonfire isn't a bonfire, it's a magic ball of light. So maybe it's just a blind spot for bonfires he has. I don't know. Really
enjoyed this game. It's not overly heavy. It looks like there's a lot of icons, but the icon once you go through, like Steve said at the top of this, you move, you place a dice, pay for your movement, pay for your die. That's it. That's really your actions. Physically what you're doing every turn, and then you've got a bunch of the actual where you place your dice does stuff, and they're all pretty straightforward as well. It looks quite daunting. There's lots of bits to it. Again, it's a Stefan Feld. There's tokens everywhere for this. It's a really straightforward game, and I think it's a cracking one. But it's interesting that it didn't get the fanfare and the hotness at Essen, and I do wonder why that is the case, because it's not like his last one, Civolution, was kind of flew under the radar, did it? That was quite a hot game last year.
We enjoyed it, so I think it's well worth checking out personally.
Can we squeeze one more in, guys? I know we've talked about some hefty games, but there's another one that we should probably talk about that I've had for a while, and you two played yesterday?
Yes, this was just fresh in our minds.
Fresh in your minds. Now, this is another big game this year. This is the third instalment of the Adam Kwapinski Nemesis series. This is Nemesis Retaliation from Awaken Realms. Now, I've had this since it was delivered from Kickstarter, and you guys have obviously now eventually played it with your friend. And this mixes the game up. So in the theory, basically, there are Gribblies that are trying to eat you. This is probably the best example, and this is all three games now because you've got Nemesis Lockdown, and Nemesis Retaliation, and probably the best example of a semi-cooperative game you'll ever find. Because you all start off on the same side, but then things happen, and everyone might have a different approach on how to solve the particular problem in front of them. On the original game, it might be blow up the ship and get out of there. It might be send a load of data. It might be, escape with a Gribbly in a pod. But to be honest, this is still true in Retaliation. They've kind of carried that over. But the mechanics in Retaliation, if you're familiar with the first two games, are very, very different. There's a lot more, I would say they are.
This is interesting because I played the original Nemesis only a few weeks back, actually, with you, Andy. And you told me this, they're very different. And I was surprised how very, very similar it was.
Do you think? Because I find the mechanically...
Right. I think it's worth actually describing to the listeners, in case they don't know. I mean, if you're listening to us, I'm surprised you don't, because we've been talking about this for years. Nemesis is effectively Alien, the board game.
Yeah.
Nemesis Lockdown is effectively Alien 3, the board game.
Yes.
And Retaliation is effectively Aliens the board game.
I would agree, yes. Yeah, that's fair. But they're both based... They're all based on exploration, kind of.
Yeah.
But this one isn't. Well, it is. This one's more exploration. The others have a fixed map. This one doesn't. That's the difference. Because this one develops as you go through room, and the map will change, which means you don't necessarily have an immediate route to where you might want to go.
Yes. So, yeah, whereas... Because I've not played Lockdown, so I can't comment on Lockdown. Whereas the original Nemesis had rooms in set locations on a set board, this has corridors. And I think that's really the only difference. So you always know, as you said, in Nemesis, you could get from A to B, but this time there might not be a corridor between A and B, so you've got to go to Z, Q, and R and loop back.
Yes, hopefully. In
Retaliation. To me, the main kind of difference is actually feel. In Nemesis, the original one, you've got a pistol, and by Jove, you're watching the ammo with that, whereas in Retaliation, there's 20 xenomorphs heading towards you, and you're firing a Gatling gun at them.
Yeah, it is. I think the aliens in this are a lot weaker individually, but there's a lot more of them.
Yes.
This is what's the word? Swarm mentality rather than individual punishment. But there are two types of shooting in this as well, rather than just the one in the first game where you just shoot and use ammo. In this, it's kind of taken as read that if anything is approaching you in a corridor, you just murder the lot, because it's literally shooting fish in, well, a corridor, I suppose, until if a Gribbly gets in a room with you, then you're in a lot of trouble. And it broadly goes the same way as the first games. But the ammo consumption's a bit simpler. You either use half your ammo, or you finish it, or you deplete your gun, or you use none at all if you're blasting down a corridor. So it is a bit simpler, but there are two types of shooting now, which takes a little bit of getting used to. But other than that, yes, it is basically just murdering lots of aliens. The hard bit, of course, is that you've got life support to contend with. So if you don't turn the life support on, you can actually suffocate. So every time you do something, your oxygen ticks down if you don't have life support. So the first thing you need to do in each section of the game is find the life support. And that's part of the problem, is that because you're exploring and you don't know what's coming next, you don't know where the life support is, and you don't necessarily know how to get to it. Because there's three different types of room.
I thought that was really clever. The way that the board is broken down, as Andy was saying, you're going to explore this map, but you've essentially got your left-hand column is section A, B, and C. So, and there's a life support in each one, so you need to try and find it to turn the life support on before you move into B. So we were having this brilliant issue of, I've got air, I'm fine in A, but as soon as I go down this corridor into B, I've got to put my mask back on, and I'm going to be depleting oxygen.
Yes.
I thought that was really clever, the way they manage that. And obviously, the C rooms are more deadly. They're deeper into the ship. They're deeper into alien territory. But that's where some of the really good stuff is.
It even tells you that in the rulebook. It says, Zone C is definitely more deadly. And having played this a few times, I can confirm that. It absolutely is. But the way the Queen is handled in this is very, very different as well. And she is brutally hard.
Shakira in alien cosplay. I was amazed. I found it fascinating that they've given the alien queen hips that clearly don't lie. Why? Why is the alien queen so effeminate?
Now you've pointed it out, I can see it, but I
you
think
can see the resemblance to Shakira.
Oh yeah, it looks. I mean, it's like she's there in the room.
I mean, you look at the alien queen in the first Nemesis, and it's a big gribbly monster, obviously taken influenced by the alien queen from, of course, Aliens. You look at this one, it's like she's slinking down the corridor there,
sashaying,
sashaying, yes,
Yes.
It was a bit like, it did knock us out of the story a bit, didn't it?
It's to lull you into a sense of false security, lulls you in and then beats the crap out of you. Because killing her is very, very hard. You can't just shoot her. You have to score eventually a critical hit, and then you deplete a deck of cards. So you've got to basically, you can't kill her until this deck of cards has gone, and it's quite a chunky deck. Now, a lot of the cards will tell you to draw more cards, but it's not always that easy because you've still got to hurt her a lot. Then you've got to go through the cards, then you've got to hurt her again, and then go through the cards. So it's a bit of a slog to kill her. So if that queen turns up, just run away.
You're in trouble. Yeah, you're in trouble. As well you should be.
We tried to fight her.
So we let Rich do it.
Well, we had to try and fight her because she was between us and the exit. And as we mentioned earlier, you can't make new paths.
No.
And that was the only way out. So it was either go back deeper into the thing to try and find an escape hatch or fight the queen.
I played with the Newport Pagnell guys, and we left Dave to fend off the queen and the subsequent swarm, as the rest of us cheesed it to the dropship.
It's all right. Me and Rory, Rich was trying to kill the queen because he had the objective to kill the queen. We didn't know this, but we guessed it. And me and Rory went to the ship and went, should we just lodge? Yeah, just lodge. Clunk, off we go, left him behind.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I got to the dropship. Two of my colleagues were waiting inside the dropship. I got to the dropship, hammered on the door, and they just gave me the middle finger and lifted up.
And this is the absolutely brilliant thing about this game. This isn't normally the type of game I would play. I like my dry, boring Euros. But this game told such a fun story on the table last night. We really, really got into it.
Definitely. I mean, my character had two missions, which is basically just do the mission or find the nest. But I was too far into B and C. I couldn't go back because sections of B were on fire. So it's like, well, if I stay there, I'm gonna burn. So I'm gonna have to carry on and see if I can either find some oxygen or turn off life support for C. And hope for the best. And I just stumbled into the nest and my mission was destroy the nest. So I just went, right, boys, I'm parking up here and just squished eggs for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Alien omelette. Nice.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Yeah. And I think I had the recon guy and I was like, my mission was to get the data chip, be the only player with the data chip on. I was like, okay, I've just got to run around and find this. And I was like, then Rich found it. I was like, he's going to get the data chip and then how am I going to get it off him? It created all this tension and all this drama and all this narrative that we love in board games. And it was there in spades yesterday. When the robot malfunctioned, and almost crippled Steve, like took Steve's arm off her and stabbed me in the stomach and then broke the computer and set the place on fire. I was like, we really needed to be in this room.
But what was worse was it was the life support room. So not only did it knock out the life support for the area, bear in mind I was on 1 oxygen, so I was bingo at this point. It was also the room which you used to check if the anti-aircraft guns are turned off, which I hadn't done because I didn't think the robot was going to go on a rampage.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun playing this game, and I was amazed at how quick it was. Actually, it felt like the game just clicked on, at a real good pace.
Yeah, it did move. And interestingly, as we got more contamination cards, of course, it got quicker.
Yes.
Because you pick up a hand and go, I've only got 2 cards I can actually do actions with this turn.
Which is a great simulation of like that narrative pace picking up. If you're watching an Aliens movie, the start is a little bit slow as you're starting to slowly creep around. And then the tension builds and things just happen faster and faster and faster. Brilliant experience.
Yeah.
Then some dick locks a door and it all kicks off. Yeah.
We actually played it very cooperatively, actually, I'd say. Steve and I were working quite well together. We were really suspicious of Rich because it took us a while to work out what he was doing.
Yes.
But yes, thoroughly enjoyed that. Full-on narrative chaos. And it's interesting that we'd actually played... Me and you, Andy, had played the old Nemesis.
Yes.
Relatively soon, because it was fresh in my mind, and I'd forgotten how awesome that game is. I felt the original Nemesis got a bit longer. It felt like it dragged a little bit at the end compared to Retaliation, but I think that's because, I mean, Sid mentioned this, and Sid would be shouting it from the rooftops if he was here. In the original Nemesis, movement is hard. Trying to get across the ship to the other side of the ship is difficult.
Yes.
Whereas the Retaliation, I think movement is easier. I'm not going to say easy, easier.
I honestly don't think there's much difference, to be honest.
Okay.
I suppose it depends on how the map falls in Retaliation. I think
True. Yeah.
because I mean, it can be hard to get across the map in the original Nemesis because you're on a fixed path, but you can plot what that path is. Whereas in this one, you can't necessarily until it's all revealed, and it might be favourable, it might not be. And you might end up having to go through a burning room and a queen in order to get to where you want to be. So I think it depends, because at the end of the day, on your turn, the mechanics of the game, the base mechanics, are still the same, basically, as the base game. Play a card to do a thing, be it move, interact. So you're still doing the same two actions on your turn as you are in the base game. So I don't actually think the movement speed's any different. I think it probably feels like there's more flexibility in what you can do in Retaliation because you can gun down a big pile of aliens that are holding in the corridor in front of you, and it feels like it's a bit more action based, I suppose. So there's a bit more going on rather than just sort of schlepping across the map.
Just looking at the price of this game.
Don't, you'll cry.
I'm going to cry. I can't get any English editions.
No, it's pretty much Kickstarter only until it's published and released. Now I'm fortunate. I backed on Kickstarter and went quite heavy, so I have.
Yeah, we played the most basic version of it with standees.
I loved it.
No
I
minis.
thought it was absolutely
No minis at
perfect for what I needed it to be.
Oh, really? I have to admit then, so you guys would have had quite a lot of space on the board then, because once you've got a horde of minis in a corridor, there is a limit to the number of minis that a corridor will hold. I think it's 6, or 2 plus a queen. But it does get quite crowded in there, because obviously the minis take up a lot more space. So the board can get quite crowded.
Obviously, we never had that. And obviously, we also never had unpainted plastic on the board either. It was all full colour artwork standees, which I really like. That's all I needed to be,
Even the player characters, they standees as well.
Yeah. And the doors.
Yeah. Although I did go get my doors in the
get
original.
fancy doors.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I didn't feel like we were missing out on anything.
No.
Right.
It was definitely didn't feel like we were missing out at all.
No.
Which is good.
I've adopted the miniatures because obviously I'm going to paint them at some point, some mythical point in the future.
Right then, we'll leave that. We'll leave the episode and a review of Nemesis on that optimism from you there, Andy.
Yep, uncharacteristic optimism.
Yes. And let's draw this episode to a close then. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. This has been Polyhedron Collider. Please give us a review on your podcast platform of choice. We will be back very soon, mid-December, with our best of 2025 episode. And then shortly after that, look forward to 2026.
And we've got some good nuggets as well for 2026.
When you say we, you mean you. Because you've planned and we haven't.
I've got some good nuggets. I might even have a couple of exclusives.
Ooh. Let us know what your favourite game of the year is and the games you're looking forward to next year. And go talk to us on Discord to let us know.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to come to our Discord server, which is stupid if you don't, but if you don't want to, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Board Game Geek Guild 2726. So until next time, happy gaming.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.